Hi guys, Sean here from digiDirect. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new Samyang lens, and that's their 14mm f2.8 autofocus full frame E-mount lens. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's a new lens from Samyang. Now if you're not super familiar with Samyang, they're also known as Rokinon in different parts of the world. So if you know them as Rokinon, we're talking about the same company. They're a Korean lens manufacturer that's been known for manual focus lenses. This is one of their first autofocus lenses, so it's interesting from that perspective. We'll touch on the autofocus. Now this is an E-mount full frame lens, so it's really intended for like the Sony A7 lineup, like I've got here, A7S, A7R, A7 Mark II, whatever. It will also work on crop sensor E-mount cameras like the Sony A6300 or 6000, although it will have a crop factor. Before we go into all these specifics, let's take a look at the physical design of the lens first. So it's a medium-sized lens. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. The build quality is about the same as most Samyang lenses, which is quite good considering the price. It's not absolute premium top-of-the-line build quality, but it's also not absolute premium top-of-the-line prices. So it's a very good build quality. I'm very happy with it. Like most ultra-wide-angle lenses, it does have one of those permanent built-in lens hoods at the front, and it's got a modified lens cap to accommodate that. This does mean that you won't be able to use screw-in filters because there's no filter ring on there. And the only other feature of note on the body of the camera is the manual focus ring in the middle. Now, this is one of the things that I actually don't like that much about this lens, just because this ring has very little resistance. It's very kind of loose. I like to have a little bit more resistance in my manual focus rings. Now, that being said, it's certainly still usable. It's not really doesn't get in your way. You can still use it for manual focus. That's no problem. It's a matter of personal preference. And if you are really looking to do a lot of video with this lens, Samyang does make other 14mm 2.8 lenses that are in their manual focus line, which will have distance markings on the focus ring and have a more resistant focus ring. So it's not a huge issue for this lens. So I just mentioned that Samyang does have 14mm 2.8 lenses available for other systems. It's just worth pointing out that this is actually a different lens design than those lenses. Partly because it's autofocus on this one, partly because this is meant specifically for mirrorless, for the Sony mirrorless system, whereas those other lenses are for a variety of formats, including DSLRs, where the sensor is a different distance away from the back of the lens. So, long story short is that although it's the same focal length and aperture as other lenses Samyang makes, it is a different design. So touching on that focal length, 14mm on a full frame camera is an ultra wide lens. It's extremely wide. So this is going to be good for landscape, architecture, photos, anything where you want to fit a lot into the frame. I remember my first lens purchase after the kit lens when I first got into photography was a wide angle lens, and I really like shooting with them. This is no exception. It's a lot of fun to shoot with this lens. And the lens does have an aperture of 2.8, which is pretty fast. Obviously you can find lenses that are faster than 2.8, but you won't find them in this kind of ultra wide format. Ultra-wide lenses you don't see them going down to 1.8, 1.4, and so on. So for an ultra-wide like this is about the fastest you're going to get. The only thing I could think of that would be comparable would be the Sigma 20mm 1.4, but 20mm is fairly significantly different than 14. So in the ultra-wide category, this is about as fast as you're going to find. So it's going to be good in low light conditions. It's also going to be actually surprisingly not bad with shallow depth of field. You know, it is a wide angle lens, so you're not going to have a ton of shallow depth of field. But if you do get very close to your subject, you can achieve it. And it's actually a really nice, smooth shallow depth of field. I really like the look of it. Speaking of getting close to your subject, that's really easy to do with this lens because it has a 0.2 meter minimum focusing distance. So you really can get right up to something. You just have to be careful not to hit the front of the lens on whatever you're photographing. But it does have quite a close focusing distance, which is neat. In terms of the photo quality coming out of the lens, it's very good. Very nice photos. I really like the photos that I got with this lens. They are sharp, they're high quality. They do have some distortion in them, obviously. With a focal length of this wide, that's going to happen regardless of the lens. So there is some distortion around the edges, but no more than I would expect from any lens in this kind of focal length range. So very good picture quality from the lens itself. So let's talk about a feature that's a bit of an unknown on these Samyang lenses, and that's the autofocus. And I say that because, as I mentioned at the beginning, Samyang is known for making manual focus lenses. This is only their second autofocus lens that they've made. They did recently release a 50mm autofocus lens. So how does the autofocus stack up? I'm happy to say it's very good. Every time I use it, it was fast, it was effective. I can't think of a single instance when shooting with this lens that it didn't do what I needed it to do, and quickly. It was right on point the whole time. Frankly, if autofocus was not a new feature for Samyang, I probably wouldn't really be discussing it, so they've done a very good job. Kudos to them for that, and that's about all there is to say about the autofocus. It's good. Last thing I'll touch on is video. Wide-angle lenses are typically fairly useful for video, especially when they have a fast aperture like this one does, so it's going to be definitely applicable for video. Now, I did mention my concern with the focus ring at the beginning, but like I said, it is usable. It's not to my absolute preference, but it's certainly functional. If you're going to be using this lens for photography and video, you're going to have no issues at all. If you're looking at this lens primarily for video, I might recommend that you also at least try out one of Samyang's 14mm 2.8 lenses that are manual focus only. Like I said, those are going to have distance markings. They're going to have a bit more resistance on the focus ring, which is going to be a little bit nicer if you're using it almost all for video. But if you're going to be using it for both photos and videos, this is certainly very capable for video. So overall, I was very happy with this lens. It's a very competent shooter, a nice wide angle, a bright aperture, a good build quality, sharp photos, good for video, a very solid lens all around. Now I'm interested to see where Samyang goes from here, because obviously getting into the market with autofocus opens them up to a much wider market, and I think they can do a lot of good there. I think it's going to be very good for consumers if they can really start to establish them in this area, because they do make lenses that are very good value for money. For the quality of the lenses, they aren't that expensive, and I think if they can make more autofocus lenses, especially for different systems, I think that's going to go a long way to giving consumers a lot more choice. So it's interesting to see where they'll go from here. That being said, I do hope that they don't kind of abandon the niche that they've established for themselves in making, really, again, good value manual focus lenses, particularly for video. They're very strong. So I wish them all the luck in pursuing the autofocus perspective, but I also hope they still stick with their manual focus lens as well. So if this lens is any indication, I am very optimistic about what we have to look forward to from Samyang in the future. If you'd like to learn a bit more about the lens or try it out, come into one of our stores. We have stores in the Sydney CBD, Bondi Junction, Miranda, Chatswood, the Brisbane and Melbourne CBDs, and a new store in Cannington, Western Australia. You can also order this lens on our website at www.digidirect.com.au. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.